Well, I had video on starting this hoop coop, but somewhere I have lost it. It's not in any of my chips or my drives anywhere that I can find. But I built the hoop coop. I outlined with 2x4s all the way around. This is a 9x7. I used 2 cattle panels, 54-inch cattle panels, and bent those and put those on the inside of the longer 2x4s, and those panels overlap just slightly. And then I built the rest of the frame for the doorway and for the back part for support and some ventilation in the back. The front I'm talking about will be the part that's to your left. I braced it up on the corners. The door opening is about 3 foot wide. Now what's inside is a pallet, and I was thinking about making a floor that would set in there and I could pick the coop up separate of the floor, move the coop, change the floor, or move the floor, or take the floor out completely and use it without the floor. So let's go forward from here. All right, here I'm cutting the first panel out of a few that I've got to cut to cover the front and back of the coop. I'll show you how I'll mark it here in just a moment. I'm going to line it up with this board facing right here, and from the inside I can take my Sharpie and mark out right around here and cut that out, and I'll have that piece. Alright, we've got our line. Yes, you can cut a curved line with a circular saw. You just want to get down the blade as far as you can where it just barely cuts through your material. It's better if it's thinner, especially the more the arc, the thinner that material needs to be for that to work. But even this is quite a bit of a curve for that, but it will work. We'll make it work. Sharp as this arc is, it's hard to cut, so I have to kind of go back and cut a little spot where that back end of the blade can kick over. Alright, that's pretty good. The very nature of this, there's no framing behind this part. There's one here, and one that runs at an angle here, and that's only framing that is in this thing. So it's not a lot of framing, but it's enough to hold it together. It is just for chickens or ducks or rabbits or whatever I decide to put in. Now the side we just did is the side with the door. So that big opening is where the door is going to go. And this opening, this front that's closest to us here, we're not going to have a door in there, so we're going to start and run across the bottom for a whole piece, because this is about 7 foot wide. So then we'll trim it out where it'll fit up so high, and then we'll fill in. Alright, I've got it held up there with one screw where I can mark it, and we're going to do that right now. Dexterity when you're dealing with this plywood and chipboard, especially chipboard. This stuff will give you splinters quicker than anything, and I've had the worst splinter I've ever had. Actually, I had to go to the doctor to have it cut out from 7/16 OSB. Wear gloves. That'll work for now. I'm using a lath. They use this lath in between 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, things like that, dimensional lumber, to keep airflow through there. And I try to collect those every time I can. But now they've got where they're putting something that's not wood. And I want wood, so anytime they have wood, that's what I grab. They come in very handy. I'm nailing this on with a number 6 galvanized nail. Put about 3 nails in there. I just want to keep this chicken wire down. The main reason I've got the chicken wire on there is to support the tarp I'm going to put over here in just a few minutes. Plus it gives a little safety for whatever's inside. I'm just cutting the chicken wire to length here. Gives me about 1.5 inches or a little over, hang over this 2x, where I can nail the lath down on there and it will hold. I'm going to nail the lath down on here, about 3 nails in that piece. It's about 4 foot long or so, just to hold this down. And I'm going to do this all the way across the 2 sides of the coop. Okay, putting the second row of chicken wire over. It's going to take 3 strips of this because it's a 3 foot wide standard chicken wire. That'll cover the 9 foot. Alright, putting the last run of chicken wire on there. Alright, Kathy and I put the tarp on. It was too dark to video, so I'm sorry about this. So what I've decided to do now is take the screws loose on about 1/3 of it and roll it back to give daylight into that coop. And it's protected, so it'll be just a small run for that. Now I ordered this tarp. It was formerly a billboard, and it was a thinner one. They had them on sale, and it was a 16 foot by 10 foot is what it was. So I got to cut some of this off, and I can say I've got enough to make another hoop coop out of it. So go online and look for those used billboard tarps. They are absolutely fantastic, better than what you can buy at most of the stores. Now I rolled the tarp back, like I said, about a third, and I didn't cut it. I just took the screws out and put the screws back in to hold that in place where it was. That way I can roll it back over the entire coop if I get ready to. My granddaughter decided she needed to help me for a little while. I appreciate her help very much.
There's one more of that one. I got one. Good jump.
Cock. Now could you take me on the pink wagon?
Okay, I'll do that.
And it was time for a break. I had to pull my granddaughter in the wagon. Back to work. Now we're going to try to use this old chain link fence for a door for the coop. I believe it's going to work. Just want to size it up and make sure. Looks like a perfect fit. Now we're going to trim a piece for the top of the door to come down over the gate to help hold the gate in place at night, and then I can raise that part for ventilation. Use the board for a straight edge. Set it to length. Now we're going to put a brace on there so we can put a hinge. And get the screws started. Now we can flip it over, make it a little easier. All right, fasten the hinges on there. We're just going to put those on the edge and let it flap over and get that set just right where it won't bind. At the butt of the hinge, it will just hang over where it's flush. And we'll just screw it in place. I decided I'm going to have a filler in here to make the hinge work right. Good fit. Screw it into place. Now we can hang the door. Maybe. Nope. Time for some help. My grandson to the rescue. And off to swing again. All right, tied it up here with a paracord. Works fine. Nothing fancy, but it works. I'm going to finish screwing the 1x1 welded wire in the back for security. All right, what we're going to try to do is make this a little more mobile. I'm going to put a wheel here. I'm going to cut a board to fit here. I'm going to bolt it here, put the wheel here. This way it'll pivot, and when I push it down, I'll find a bolt or a pin or something to hold it here, and that wheel will pick this up. That's the plan. So we're using a carriage bolt, drop it through the hole. Carriage bolt will hold it in place when it sinks into the wood. Put a washer on, 2 washers on. Put the wheel on with a long side down. Put another washer on, and then we're going to use a nylon inserted nut. That's a lock nut. Now to keep it in place, we can tighten it down, leave it a little bit loose where that wheel can move. There it is. Get a pair of them, and we're ready to put them on the chicken coop. Or coop, whatever you want to call this thing. Give them a 1/2-inch hole through there. Put another carriage bolt through there. Now I had to reverse this because I changed wheels on this. I put a bigger wheel. As you can see, that's a little bit small. So I put the carriage bolt head on the outside where that other wheel would fit. I put an 8-inch instead of a 6-inch. But it's the same principle, so you can use this as a guide. All right, now this piece of metal has floor flanges on the end. I used to use it for a handrail on a deer stand. Now I'm going to repurpose it. Cut a chunk of 4x4 here that fits those handles. Cut all the way around that. Fairly decent cut on there. Doesn't look shabby at all. Now I'm going to mount these to that 4x4 using 3-inch deck screws. I put hinges on here. I thought the audio was on, the video was on, but it wasn't. So I put the hinges on here where it will fold down and pick this up. Now my all-thread rod was a little short, so I got an all-thread rod coupler and 2 pieces of all-thread rod, shorter pieces, to extend this out. Now it worked out good because those extenders will help hold this in place, and you'll see here in just a minute. We're going to fasten this 2x4 to this 4x4 just to give it a little more lift when we put it down. Screw that into place. Now, what I've got here is come off a pallet. It's got a notch in there for a strap to hold lumber together, but it fits perfectly, almost, with this rod. And those extenders help hold that right in place where it won't turn. All right, that is locked into place. Now we put our 2 washers, our wheel, another flat washer. These are fender washers, 1/2 inch or 3/8, and another one of those nylon inserted nuts, a lock nut. Tighten that into place. Not too snug because you want that wheel to turn freely, but you don't want it to wobble. All right, get the second one done on the other side. Let's test it out. See what happens here. Here we go. Look at that. It works. All right. So that's going to work great. Look at that. It picks it right up. It rolls. That is fantastic. Remember, count your blessings every day. I believe you'll find you're blessed far beyond measure. I know that I am. God bless.